Hello everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my guide to the Deltascape V3 on the normal difficulty, the third encounter in the new raid, Omega, the Bend of Time. To unlock this fight, simply follow the new quest line unlocked in Rhalgr's Reach, starting with the quest, The Hunt for Omega, and clear the Deltascape V2 beforehand. This encounter drops Deltascape springs, cranks, and lenses, all of which can be exchanged for item level 320 gear at Galfurdus, a new NPC in Rhalgr's Reach near the other two gear vendors. Deltascape V3 consists of a single encounter against the boss, Halicarnassus, a different one from Hawk Manor. This encounter consists of multiple phases. To skip to a specific phase, please use the time skips in the description of the video. In Phase 1, Halicarnassus will introduce most of her mechanics to you steadily. Let's cover the basic ones first. Halicarnassus herself hits the tank quite hard. She also has some generic line AoEs, point blank AoEs, and donut AoEs, which you can avoid the same ways you always have. The first major attack you'll see is Ribbit. For this, she'll turn to face a random direction before performing a large conal AoE that turns anyone hit into a helpless frog for several seconds. Keep your eye on her hitbox and stay away from the front of it when she is casting Ribbit. The next one is Spellblade Holy, which changes as the fight goes on further. The first time you see it is simple enough, one split damage AoE and two markers that need to be spread out. The second time you see it, it'll just be a bunch of spread AoEs while avoiding several AoEs coming out of ads, so again, just spread out. There are two more patterns in the final phase as well, which we will cover then. Finally, the boss can summon tokens to the arena, most of the time taking the shape of these Reaper-looking enemies, which are called Dark Tokens. In the first phase, they just do large AoEs around them that you need to avoid, usually while dodging other AoEs, such as the one you see here. We just stack up and then move out of these thin conal AoEs after they cast. Now, while those are some of the minor mechanics, the primary mechanics for this encounter involve the arena itself, which is broken up into 16 individual squares. At times, she changes these panels to perform certain mechanics. The first panel layout you'll see turns the middle 4 panels into 3 different symbols: a tank symbol, a healer symbol, and 2 DPS symbols. Basically, if you are a DPS, stand in the DPS panels, a healer stands in the healer panel, and tanks stand in the tank panels. Not standing in a panel, standing in the wrong panel, or being a frog during this mechanic will give you a Vuln stack and determination down, while dealing a bunch of damage. We've tried all sorts of combinations to see if any specific layout is needed without failing the mechanic, including putting 1 DPS in one square and 3 in the other, all 4 DPS in one square, and 2 in 2. I've seen people say that not doing 2 in 2 has led to the mechanic failing for them, so safety, let's just recommend that you put 2 people in each panel. The other set of panels comes right after, changing each panel to have either crumbled up rocks or crystals. The 4 crystal platforms, which are in a straight diagonal line across the arena, are safe spots for her Queen's Waltz mechanic, which gives Vuln stacks and knocks you up if you're on one of the rocky platforms when it finishes. She will use all sorts of attacks to attempt to lure you off of the safe panels, including summon a giant dragon token, the off tank should pick this up and the party should kill it quickly by the way, summoning dark tokens to do AoEs, or using Spellblade Holy, Ribbit, and her standard AoEs. The one mechanic you'll want to pay attention to is Mind Jack. When it casts, it will send the player running uncontrollably in a certain direction. When she does this attack, read the name of the ability. That alone will tell you what direction she'll force you to run in. March Forward will send you running in the direction your character is facing. About Face will send you in the opposite direction. Left Face will send you to the left, and Right Face will send you to the right. Just try to keep your character auto-running over the safe panels. If not, sprint back to them after the mechanic is over. You usually have enough time. After several Queen's Waltzes, Halicarnassus will jump to the middle of the room and enter Phase 2. Phase 2 simply has Halicarnassus summon an ethereal tear and sucks the entire party into a small puzzle room. You'll be sliding on sand panels between islands, with the goal of reaching the tear at the end in the northwest corner. The pattern is always the same, with you either starting on the southwest or northeast side. Here is a small diagram on the screen of the 2 correct paths you can take. I'll leave that on as I continue talking about this phase. If you're faster than your teammates, you may actually receive a damage and haste buff when the phase ends. After everyone exits the tear, the boss goes into Phase 3. Phase 3 is mostly the same as Phase 1, but the boss uses more deadly combinations of attacks. The 4 panels revert back to the playing field, which starts off as the tank healer DPS squares you saw in Phase 1. You will get a ribbit here, and you must avoid being hit by it, as being a frog causes you to automatically fail the panel mechanic, as we said before. There's also a second set of floor panels later, where all 4 panels have a frog face on them. Everyone should get hit by Ribbit here, and then stand within those 4 panels to successfully execute the mechanic. I also mentioned 2 new Spellblade Holy patterns earlier, so let's explain those now. The first one will have a single stack marker, that's it. However, the boss then also uses that Mind Jack mechanic from earlier. I simply recommend everyone stacking behind the boss and looking directly at the boss with their character. Regardless of where the boss makes you walk, you'll stay stacked during this if you do it this way. There is also a line AoE to avoid once you can control your character again. The other Spellblade Holy has 3 markers that should spread out away from the party and 1 stack marker. The 3 spread markers get away from the group, simple as that, while all other party members stay stacked up. The only caveat is you'll need to dodge a donut AoE and some of those thin conal AoEs from earlier while doing this, but just keep your eye on the stack marker and you'll be fine. Finally, there is a layout for dark tokens where only one of the 16 squares is safe to stand in. Just find the one safe square and go stand there. She will do a point blank AoE around here, so don't drag her all the way into the safe zone, just a little bit in. That's pretty much the whole fight. She'll just repeat these mechanics until either dead or enraged. Thanks for watching my guide to Halicarnassus. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for all the other Omega, Deltascape, Normal, and Savage guides. I'll see you next time, and until then, take care.